What's going on YouTube? So Mercedes has a long-lasting heritage of providing customers with some of the most luxurious cars in the entire auto industry. No model screams luxury more than what we are standing next to today, the Mercedes S-Class. Filled with luxury features and equipped with many bespoke options, is this S-Class still the luxury sedan to beat? Let's go ahead and find out. So the S-Class is, of course, all about elegance and luxury, and this exterior design absolutely screams that. We actually do have the available AMG line on this model, but basically there's no way that you can make this really look sporty. It always looks elegant. We just have the tiniest touch of sport. The extra elements with the AMG line are going to be down here on your lower fascia. As you can see, this is a little bit more aggressive when it comes to these black elements over here and this subtle black surround. I do like this overall aesthetic. Matches nicely with the standard S-Class grille, which has nice chrome and gloss black accents. And no matter what, you've got that beautiful Mercedes emblem up here on the hood. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the headlights as well. Once again, very elegant and luxurious looking. You've got a crystal design, so you have these unique crystal elements, lots of little intricate details inside. They are fully LED, of course, they are adaptive, and you have what Mercedes calls ultra-wide high beams. You've got your LED daytime running light and turn signal through there. There aren't going to be any fog lamps up in the front. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about our wheel options. So the standard wheel is going to be a 19-inch alloy wheel, but you've got a ton of selections at 20 and 21 inches. This is the standard AMG line wheel, so this is a 20-inch alloy with kind of gray accents through here. Looks really nice on this vehicle. I also want to mention something when it comes to the wheels. That's the fact that today's model does come with the rear steering system. So that's actually going to allow the rear wheels to turn in and out 4.5 degrees, which is really cool. And we look forward to showing you what that's going to be like behind the wheel once we go on our test drive. Let's move on up here to our mirrors. As you can see, you got a gloss black accent through here. These, of course, are going to be fully loaded with all the goodies. So you do have heating, auto dimming on both sides, power folding, and built-in blind spot monitoring.
Now, you might mistake the S-Class for a C-Class or an E-Class up in the front, but you're not going to mistake it at the side because this is one long machine. It's actually coming in at 208.2 inches long, which does mean that this is about the same length as a standard wheelbase Chevy Tahoe for reference. Now, in the US, we are only going to get the extended wheelbase version, so that's what you see right here. And since we do have the AMG line in terms of the design elements, you're going to have a little bit of a lower body kit going through here. We have our pop-out door handles, chrome surround still, even though we have the AMG line. This is an S-Class after all. Now, moving around to the rear design, it's going to ooze classy and elegant, just like the front. You're going to have your typical Mercedes design, ballooned up for S-Class duty, so you're going to have nice tasteful spoiler up here at the top since we do have the AMG line. Chrome going through the middle that intersects between our taillights. Our taillights are, of course, going to be a beautiful crystal design. They're going to be full LED, so we have the LED accenting, the LED turn signal that's going to be an amber color, as well as the brake light and reverse light. And then dropping down to the lower diffuser area, you will notice that we have some black surround. That is the AMG line element, so that's going to make it look a little bit more sporty. Now, of course, this S-Class is not going to be super sporty looking unless you get the actual AMG versions. So otherwise, it would be a body color design, but we do have trapezoidal integrated exhaust pipes. Now, moving on to your warranty and safety information, let's go ahead and talk about that. So for your safety systems, as you would expect out of a Mercedes S-Class, you're going to have every single one of them as standard equipment, all of your basic ones. So forward emergency braking, pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, as well as adaptive cruise control. That being said, you can option on more available safety systems, including rear airbags, and the suspension system that will actually raise the vehicle up if it detects a side collision to make the impact less into the cabin. Now, as far as your warranty information is concerned, you're looking at 4-year, 50,000 miles for your basic and powertrain warranty, no complimentary maintenance. But now let's go ahead and check out the very exquisite interior.
So walking up to the S-Class, one of the things that you will notice is the fact that we have the retracting door handles, and as you approach, they will go ahead and pop out. Let's take a look at the key fob, though, before we get inside. This is honestly my favorite key fob in the entire auto industry. This is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, it's made of real metal, front and back. You've got some piano black accents, and it just feels so solid and nice in the hand. Now, of course, to get inside, it's already popped out, so you just grab the door handle and open up the door. There's a good look at the stunning cabin, and we'll go ahead and climb inside. Of course, you do have standard soft closed doors. Now, one thing to note about the cabin is that even if you choose the AMG line model, they're not going to change anything on the interior. It's going to stay fully luxurious and not have any type of sport theming, which I think is the right move for a vehicle like this. Let's start off by talking about our interior color and material selections as far as this interior tour goes. You are going to have real leather as standard equipment. That's what we have on today's example. And you've got 3 color choices. You've got black, sienna brown, or macchiato beige, which is what we have today. As you can see, lovely seat. I really like the stitching details, how they kind of waterfall down through here, and the leather quality feels very nice as well. Now, of course, if you want to go for something a little bit more supple, you can do that. You've got available Napa leather with diamond quilting. And some of those do have some exclusive color options, such as carmine red and silver gray. Now let's turn over here and take a look at the adjustments. So as far as the seats, we do have a standard 16-way power adjusting seat, standard 3-person memory, standard heating and ventilation, and standard massage. So you've got all the goodies as standard features. These are your new Mercedes-Benz controls, so they're just touch capacitive. You just add a little bit of pressure, and that will make all the adjustments, including things like your power headrest. And then looking around at the door trim and the general materials, of course, this is the S-Class. This is the pinnacle, so you've got all the nicest luxury that you would expect. We've got a beautiful leather-covered armrest. All this center portion is leather-covered. You've got this cool floating effect here for your seat controls and your door handle. It's going to be leather all along the top as well. And you've got 4 fully automatic windows finished in a beautiful metal. And you've got some touch capacitive buttons through there. Now, coming up here, you can see the wood trim. You've got a lot of different choices, as you would expect. But this is a high gloss poplar, if you're wondering what this one is. Going on to the upper dash, it's all going to be covered in a nice leather material. Of course, you got a stitching detail. You got these beautiful vents up top. All through the center, this entire large section is all the genuine wood. Looks really nice. As we come down to the center portion here, you got your big display, which kind of bleeds into this console area. On our model, it's finished in a piano black, and then you do have some leather trim that runs along the center console as well. Everything is very nice and solid. Now to start up, put your foot on the brake and press the button located up here. And after you start it up, the first thing you will be greeted with is this 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. As you can see, this is kind of the typical Mercedes affair. You've got your gauges, various different designs, because it is a digital setup, so you can reconfigure it for something more advanced looking or a more traditional look. I kind of like this one. The executive design looks fancy. You can also get available 3D gauges. And you can also get an available augmented reality head-up display. We don't have either of those options today. Now coming back to the steering wheel, as you can see, we've got a lovely design. This is wrapped in the macchiato colored Napa leather, so it's very soft, supple, and smooth. Looks like it might get a little dirty, but it does look lovely. We have the leather-covered airbag cover, and you do have some touch capacitive controls over there on the sides. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be power, tilt, and telescoping, as you'd expect. We do also have the available steering wheel heating, which is part of the warmth and comfort package. Now, when you choose that option, that is also going to add heated armrest on both the door as well as your center console here. But let's go ahead and talk about interior storage. So press this button here, that's what opens up your center console. And looking inside, pretty nice amount of space. This is quite deep, of course. You have the luxurious felt lining all around it. You do have 2 lighted USB-C ports as well inside. And, we have to put it to the test, though. Normally, of course, we're using the coupons, but today I thought in an S-Class it might be more appropriate to test it out with the average daily income of an S-Class owner. Throw that in there. Does fit just fine. Now, underneath of this is where you're going to find some additional storage, your 2 cup holders, 2 more USB ports, and then back there, that's going to be your wireless phone charging pad. And then you do have a little bit of hidden storage actually over here behind this display. As you can see, it's a small bin where you can kind of hide something. Now, of course, in typical Mercedes fashion, you don't have any shifter cluttering up the center console here. It's going to be located up here on the console. This is the latest switchgear, which is kind of hollow right there. Press down for drive. You do have these really beautiful metal paddle shifters located on the steering wheel. Press up for reverse. And when you go into reverse, you'll be greeted with this standard 360-degree parking camera. As you can see, very beautiful resolution. Of course, it does have everyone's favorite trick, which is to go into this 3D view, and you can spin all around the vehicle. And honestly, this is probably the most advanced 360 camera I've ever used. As you can see, you can go absolutely anywhere. You can see the car from all perspectives. The resolution is fantastic. The performance is great as well. You do also have parking assistance, so you can automatically have the car pull into and out of parallel and perpendicular parking spots for you. And then for park, just press the P right there on the end of the stalk. As we continue our tour up the dashboard, we do have our buttons here. Again, touch capacitive for various different functions. Right here is going to be your fingerprint reader. That kind of helps you to sync up different settings and things inside of the vehicle to your fingerprint, which is pretty cool. And then off to the side of that, that's going to be your volume knob, or I should say volume slider. So for your audio systems, you do have a couple choices. You got the standard Burmester sound system. That's what we have. You do also have an available 1750 watt 30 speaker Burmester 4D sound system, which is absolutely crazy. That's going to be available as an option for quite a lot of money, about $7,000. But let's sample the regular version. Well, as you would expect, the sound quality of this system is phenomenal. I doubt you'll actually need to or want to upgrade because this sound system is fantastic. Alrighty, so let's talk about the display. So of course, one of the things about the S-Class that's different from, say, an EQS is the fact that we don't actually have that crazy hyperscreen setup. We've got the more traditional layout, which a lot of you guys will prefer. This display is going to be 12.8 inches, and as you can see, it's kind of a tablet style. It lays up across the dashboard. The lower section of this is going to be dedicated to climate controls. I don't know if you guys noticed earlier, but when I changed the gauge cluster to the executive design, it does also change the overall system to have that same theming. So the climate control, like I said, dual zone automatic climate. You make your adjustments right through there. It's very simple and easy to use. You have available 4-zone automatic climate if you prefer that. You also have the available fragrance system. One of the things I do want to point out is the fact that this model is equipped with the active ambient lighting. That is an extra cost option. So as you can see, it does turn red when you adjust the temperature up and blue when you're adjusting the temperature to be cooler. And it also responds to your voice assistant as well with special animations. Now clicking into the MBUX system as a whole, of course this is using the latest version. Very easy to use. You've got your apps kind of laid out through there. Your built-in navigation is kind of up there always, or you can click into it itself, and as you can see, very nice and high resolution. Obviously, a lot of people just like to use your phone, so in this case you do have both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and those are wireless. Moving on up here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror, 3 HomeLink universal remotes. Up top, again, you got that kind of cool floating theme. You got some buttons finished in piano black, and how you would open the sunroof is just to swipe back on that touch-sensitive panel, and that's going to open up this front portion. You do also have a rear portion that has a dedicated button or some rear controls. And as you can see, that gives you the full panoramic experience, and the front panel does open up.
Well, guys, I might as well be laying in a Tempur-Pedic mattress because this rear seat is awesome. We've been in this S-Class a few times, and I say of this executive sedan mix, this is the best rear seat. We have not sampled the all-new 7 Series just yet, but this rear seat is incredible. It is one of the most luxurious, one of the most spacious rear seats money can buy regardless of the price tag. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the amenities as well as the space. So we'll hit the space figure first. We're looking at 43.8 inches of legroom, 39.4 inches of headroom. As you can see, for someone who is a measly 5'9", with the seating position adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", you're going to have plenty of room. I'd say it's probably at least a foot, maybe a foot and a half of space between my knees and the seat back. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. And you might also notice that I have a very reclined position for my seat, and that's because I actually do have power adjustment in the rear seat of this S-Class. That's going to be included in the warmth and comfort package, and included in that is quite a few different things. So if you turn over to your door trim, you'll notice some of those features. So we have 3-stage heated seats, 3-stage ventilated seats, and yes, Mercedes-Benz will let you have heated and ventilated seats going on at the same time, just in case you want to really show off both features to your friends. That also includes the 3-person memory seats for the second row, and also the power adjustment, so I can kind of tilt my seat up a little bit more upright if I prefer, to get some work done, maybe in the back of my S-Class, but if I want to go into full nap mode, I can do that as well. Certainly very nice. Now, as far as other features, we do have rear window sunshades. These are, of course, going to be power. We also have controls for our rear glass sunshade as well for this model. And then dropping down to the lower part of the door trim, it's going to have a nice bottle storage, as well as going to be leather wrapped on pretty much every part of the door trim itself. Now, as far as other features are concerned, let's check out the center area. In the center area, we do have vents. They're going to be a really beautifully crafted metal piece here to control them. But you will see this. Yes, in a $130,000 Mercedes S-Class, we have a blank hole here, and that's where climate controls would be. That's going to be an option on the S-Class. This particular tester doesn't have it, and actually for the past few years, we've had S-Classes that didn't have that feature, so that might be more rare than we think. Now, as far as other features, 2 USB Type-C ports down below that. You have this center armrest, which folds down. You can also fold it up to get that middle seat if you need it. Inside of here, we're going to have felt-lined area, 2 more USB Type-C ports. This could be controls if you go for a fancier rear seat in the S-Class. This one is a pretty lightly optioned S-Class, so we're not going to have all the goodies that you can get in the rear. You can get massaging rear seats, tray tables, all of the really fancy stuff if you really want to ball out and you're going to be chauffeured around in your S-Class. You might want to look into those. Now, walking up to your trunk in the S-Class, you are going to have a standard hands-free power one, as you would expect out of an expensive vehicle like this. So you can kick your foot under the bumper to open it up, or you can just locate the button right there. It is a fully power-operated trunk. And as far as the space is concerned in the rear of this, you're looking at 12.9 cubic feet of cargo capacity, which is a decent amount. It's not good for the segment. Some of the other rivals are going to have more space than this S-Class, and a lot of that has to do with your rear seat ability. So since we have the power reclining rear seats, that intrudes a little bit on your cargo capacity, and it also makes it where the seats don't fold. So that's something worth noting. You're only going to have the trunk pass through. Now, if you own an S-Class and you really need to haul something, I imagine you might already have a G-Wagon or an Escalade or something else fancy that you can haul stuff in, because this doesn't need to be the one that you haul stuff in. Now, as far as other things back here, we have a really nice carpeting along the floor. We can lift the floor up. That's going to have a little bit of additional space up under there. Off to our right side, we have a little net as well as a 12-volt outlet. Your passenger seat will be the same adjustments as the driver. We do also have 3-person memory, so yes, that does mean that all 4 seats in the S-Class have 3-person memory settings. And then opening up our glove box, nicely leather wrapped on the outside. As you would expect, we do have a beautifully felt-lined glove box here, perfect for our $100 bill stacks, so you can fit those in there, no problems, and they're going to be treated very nicely. Oh, now it's not going to shut. Our $100 bill stack was too thick. And then up top, we do have a sun visor. We have some LED lighting up top. We can also detach the visor, and this is going to be a 2-part setup, so you have the second visor that can pop down in case the sun is blinding you from multiple angles, which is certainly a nice touch.
And as easy as that, we are at 60 miles per hour in this S-Class. I said easy because, you know, this engine just does not sound like it has any strain whatsoever. I mean,
No.
You really can't hardly hear it at all. We were just discussing this off camera. Really, this is about as close as you can get to like an electric vehicle with a internal combustion engine still. Like,
It's so smooth.
It's so smooth and so quiet. That's just absolutely incredible. Now you might be wondering, of course, what is actually underneath the hood. This is the S500, so this is the standard engine. It's going to be a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine. It's going to be paired with the Mercedes EQ Boost mild hybrid system, and it's going to be making 429 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque. Just so smooth.
So smooth. Yeah, this engine is absolutely phenomenal. You're looking at a 0 to 60 time of 4.8 seconds for this S500 model. And then, of course, they do offer the S580 for those of you who want, I guess, the more traditional S-Class experience of having a big V8 under the hood. That's going to be a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, also with EQ Boost, and that's going to have 496 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 on that model was 4.4 seconds. We drove that in the previous generation S-Class, not this all-new version, and it was a fantastic engine option. So if you really like that V8 power, a little bit more performance, it's still not going to really be much faster than this S500, though.
Yeah, totally not necessary. As you can see from the difference in the 0 to 60, it's going to be probably more about the experience of V8 sound, perhaps, than it is about having a lot more power, because this is a big sedan, and we're under 5 seconds 0 to 60, so, I mean, she moves really well. Now, since we've got a second here sitting at a red light, this would be a good time to talk about EQ Boost. Like I was saying, it is a mild hybrid system, and one of the biggest benefits of this is just advanced auto start stop. This vehicle turns off the engine before it even comes to a complete stop. It can fire up the engine system so quickly, so smoothly, so imperceptibly. Yeah. You know, we've talked in depth about this in other Mercedes products, so I won't, go crazy detail, but at the end of the day, just know this is the best that anybody has to offer right now. The auto start stop is it's butter.
And I will say that even this morning, cold start up, like, it'd been pretty cold the last few days and weeks, and this thing was so smooth, you could literally barely feel that it even started up. Or hear it on the outside. It's incredible. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is quick. And you kind of forget how large it is when you're behind the wheel because of that speed, and also because of the rear steering system, which is really a fantastic system. I would recommend choosing that option if you like, that maneuverability in the parking lots, because this Mercedes says can make a turn quicker than an A-Class, even though this is obviously way larger than an A-Class. And you can just find a spot. You can be almost just right up next to it and be like, whoosh, and just whip it right in. And then, of course, we'll see as we go through the video how that kind of performs out on the street as well, because it does have benefits there. Now, talking about the other elements of the powertrain, transmission is a 9-speed automatic transmission paired with standard 4MATIC all-wheel drive. Transmission is very smooth, as you would expect. Everything really about this whole situation is smooth. That's kind of the point, of course. So
right.
It's in normal driving, very, very smooth.
And because we do have standard 4MATIC all-wheel drive, you do have 2 fuel economy ratings. So your S500 model is going to be sitting at 20, 28, 23 miles a gallon combined. The S580 is 16, 25, and 19. So a 4 mpg reduction for going for the S580. Of course, it does use premium fuel, so calculate that into your average fuel cost.
Not exactly a U-turn situation, but a good demonstration of this rear steering. Hey, look at that. And I can just kind of come up here right on this.
It's like you can wait until the last second and then...
Whoop! Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy in practice how maneuverable this thing is.
Yeah. And let's get our sound level reading. Official Car Confections sound level reading is going to be sitting at 50.7 decibels. and it is very windy outside, like it was blowing my hair around all day long while we were filming. And like Drew and I have said throughout this video, we were just kind of talking off camera, it's just so quiet in here. 50 decibels, that makes this, I think, the lowest tested car on our system. It pretty much is every year that we review an S-Class, and it's just incredible. When you get in this car, it's like you're in an isolated library. Like, I can whisper to Drew. You have no need to raise your voice to hear anyone in the cabin. It even silences the cars just driving around. You'll notice it at a red light, like a big, loud truck will drive by, and you can barely even hear it, because it's just so isolated inside of this cabin. Also contributing to that isolation is your ride quality. I really don't even have to tell you guys that this S-Class rides well, because this is the benchmark sedan on best riding vehicle money can buy. You do have a standard air suspension on every single S-Class that rolls off the lot, and it soaks the bumps up incredibly smooth. Nothing soaks it up like an S-Class, and I'll just leave it at that.
I'm not sure how many people will ever put their S-Class in sport mode, but I just did. Why not? We're going to kind of go around a little corner here. There's definitely some body roll, but, they manage it pretty well for the size of this vehicle. And like I was saying with the rear steering, you have benefits when you're actually at speed as well. It turns the rear wheels in the opposite direction to give you more stability when you're going around corners.
And let's also continue with another Car Confections signature element, our airball and slam dunk. So for today's slam dunk, I really think it just has to be the overall luxury. It's an S-Class. That's what it was set out and designed to do. And this car just does it so good. Even among a lot of competitors that are also so good, This shines even above those, so it's just really the benchmark luxury sedan. And as far as our airball is concerned, we do have one little qualm with it. The rear climate controls, I find it a little bit odd that that's just not a standard feature. To have rear climate controls, to have an actual hole where they would be, it just is a little bit offensive in a car that costs well into the six-figure price point. And speaking of that price tag, let's go ahead and talk about the price on this S500. We're going to have a starting point of $114,500 for S500. If you go for the 580, you're looking at $124,000 as a starting point. So about $10,000 for the V8 motor. It's worth noting for 2023, that's a pretty substantial price increase. A lot of cars are increasing this year, so that's about $3,000 to $7,000 depending on trim level and configurations. Now, like I said at the occupant section of this video, this is a relatively lightly optioned S-Class, which means all told, once we add in like the big ticket items like AMG line and the warmth and comfort package plus the 1150 destination, we're looking at $129,045 for this tester. Of course, you can go about as high as you want to in this class, that's for sure.
So at the end of the day, there's not a lot more to say about this S-Class that we haven't already said. It just feels so smooth, so luxurious. Me and Mason were talking about this earlier. We just said, you know what? It feels like money. I think that's a good way to conclude this video. This just feels like money.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us on our in-depth review of the 2023 Mercedes-Benz S-Class. This truly is a very luxurious product, and we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It helps to give us access to vehicles like these to show you all. And also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we have other forms of content. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.